This pretty good coverage is brought to you by Power Grip, the official retail partner of the European Pro Tour.
Hello and welcome back to round 2 coverage of EPT All-Stars. We are following the FPO field here in this exclusive invitational only event to round out the season. Beautiful Mijas, Spain, at the Disc Golf Park Mijas course. This is round 2 back 9 FPO lead card coverage brought to you by MDG Media. I'm Connor Wood. I will be your host today. We have a great card and a front 9 which has brought our players quite close in standings. We see Marie continuing to hold her solo lead position at just 1 over par. Yenni 2 strokes behind Marie and Rachel 1 behind Yenni, with Sanna rounding out our lead card. However, those top 3 players are continuing to separate from the field in strokes as the battle heats up. We have hit the halfway point of the tournament. We are now playing the final 50%. We'll kick it off here on hole number 10, a 90-meter par 3. Players will once again be throwing over a valley into the hillside, this one requiring quite a lot of precision. Very easy to overturn and fade out and then be left with a lot of distance left to the basket because of the altitude and the significant slope. A lot of players will just try to bomb those 2 trees on the right and hopefully filter through or catch them. You see this basket really close to the edge there. Will test the nerves on the putting green as well. A fun hole to attack. Marie able to generate great speed off the standstill. Really comfortable with it, and every hole so far able to use it. She's given herself a nice birdie putt. That uphill slope will allow her to give it a full honest bid. We go to Sanna here, getting that one flipped up to flat. Just a little bit shy to fight all the way up the final hill, but certainly a good line. Rachel, a lot of power off the tee. She's been throwing the disc really well, just having some trouble translating it on the green. And this is what I meant by just bombing those 2 trees. You'll see them catch a lot of discs, and of course there's the chance for rollaway, but Rachel's disc looks to have sat. We see Yenni now. Turns it over a bit into the hillside. She will be left with some work to do. Sanna as well, almost throwing it in a very nice line. Will leave her with that death putt though. Going to test the nerves. Sanna has been very good at securing her pars after her tee shots were not ideal, however. Yenni, potentially a chance through the trees. And a birdie found for her as she throws the fist pump. A nice one to get our back 9 started. Beautiful putt up the hill. Getting her just 1 stroke closer, at least for the moment, to Marie. Who now has her putt for birdie to try and maintain pace. And it's well done. Not sure if she felt the pressure there, but either way, able to capitalize on what I believe was CTP off the tee for our lead card. Marie with that great putt. We go to Sanna now. Stone cold. We saw Rachel a little bit too compromised to give an honest putt. Was forced to lay up with no real line to the cage. Hole 11, another fun hole. The 78-meter par 3 features an aggressive left-to-right sloping fairway. Anything that spikes in too hard can cut roll. Anything that's overturned can disappear. But a lot of hyzers will hopefully crash and dig the hill, where you see this basket tucked away. Another option here in terms of shape, you can try to throw the enormous hyzer up and around at only 78 meters and slightly uphill. It is possible with a big rip to get there on one angle for these players. Otherwise, they'll need to hit a more direct straight line between the trees. And Marie had what looked to be a great line, but that aggressive slope pulling her down into the right off the tree connect. I expect to see Yenni, playing more of the hyzer, but this one is just swept away. However, she has maintained a good height up the hill, meaning that she'll need a lot less, it will feel like a lot less distance to the basket. Sanna cutting a nice line here, but again, just shy of the distance and an unfortunate roll away for her after hitting the gap quite effectively. Rachel, I expect, going to be throwing a high hyzer. And she's hit that tree and settled. That's certainly not a bad place to be. Just down the slope from where Yenni's disc is. And Sanna, you hate to see it. Gives a decent approach and just spits it right back to her. Maybe less than 10 meters gained to the green. Marie from an awkward spot, getting that forehand up there, but really no significant rightwards movement around the tree. Sanna continues to chip away at the distance here. Rachel, I think, just looking to lay this one up. Not at all. She goes for it, and you see why I thought she might lay it up. There's just so much danger. But I love to see the confidence, and especially hitting band. That meant she really wanted it. An unfortunate result, but a very good scramble there to come back. And honestly, off the compromised putting stance, going to the knee or the wide straddle. A very aggressive bid from Rachel, and Marie with almost a similar fate, sitting down much sooner. She is still left with a putt for her par. Yenni does find it. Her second birdie in a row. A hot start to this back nine. Really nicely done. You see that although she faded out, she was just up the hillside putting down. Just like that, with Yenni taking the 2 and Marie taking the 4, they are tied. For the first time in the tournament, Marie is sharing the lead since she's gained it. As you see these players tenderly navigate the green. Even when they're not throwing or putting, this terrain is particularly difficult. Here we are on hole 12, a 95-meter par 3 downhill. The basket in the center of the plateau at the far side. Just an incredible hole, so daunting, so visually exciting. You see everything that can go wrong, left, right, long, even short, can potentially leave you with some trouble. I think playing with stability is very smart here. Something overstable which will crash and settle quickly. I really don't think anyone wants to be flipping anything up too much. And I think a nose down angle in particular. A good play here from Yenni. Crashing the hillside. As I mentioned, a lot of overstability on that one angle shot. Just catching the edge of the hill. Not quite settling on top, although that's very hard to do. Anything that actually lands on the flat top often skips off it, and anything that hits the side of the hill often does not skip up onto the top. So to park this one is really difficult. Sanna going nice and wide. I like this. She has the height. And if that stops, you see just meters from the basket, she catches an edge. Unclear if she sat down there. Hopefully, that was a really nice shot by her. Rachel playing the low overstable forehand. And it looked a little bit short, but otherwise quite a nice line. And I think she is putting, if I had to guess. As we see, I believe that was Sanna. Yenni now. Also a lot of work left to do to get to the top. And she hasn't quite done so. We go to Marie. She goes over the top and off the other side. This plateau playing tricks on our lead card here. You see the wind moving the foliage around her. And a little more tempered that time. Very nice. Speed control. Settles it on the top. Makes the correction from the last one. And Sanna maybe even trying to throw that in. Really went for it. Rachel as well, just having to pitch up, seeing the events that just transpired, choosing to take a stress-free par. So we see Yenni now for her 3. Great job. Fortunate to remain on the top there with that missed putt for Sanna. Hole 12 really doing some damage there. She takes the double bogey. Very possibly the most treacherous green. And that's saying a lot in Mijas, as there are many contenders for that title. As we see Yenni and Rachel taking the par, Marie with the 4 and Sanna with the 5. Here is hole 13. A par 4 at 165 meters. We see this basket very far away. A fun elevated tee allowing you to rip out and over this valley, getting as much distance as you can. You see this basket perched on the hillside in this little basin. Very attackable on the approach. Really a fun hole. You can run everything. Certainly attackable, and one of the easiest holes, if not the easiest, on the course. Statistically in round 2 was the easiest at 3.3. Playing for the FPO field as a par 4. We have Yenni to get us started. This looks really nice. A forwards pushing flight. She'll find some late stability and some great distance there. As long as she's clear, I thought she would fade a touch sooner and avoid that rough. But regardless, some nice distance, and I think able to scramble from there. Rachel getting a beautiful flex down the middle. You see them really pushing this one. Certainly encouraging it. The eagle is in play, whether on the throw-in or with a perfect drive and a lot of power. Marie shaping this one a little bit more. See that turn to the right and the late fade, a great spot to be. I think just a chip shot from there. We'll see Sanna now to recover from the double bogey on the previous hole. And she will be trapped behind that bush, but I think by enough distance, and with her knowledge of the course, she's already shown she doesn't need to see the basket to park it. And she's done it again. Showing why this is playing as the easiest hole of the day, at least as a par 4. I think it's certainly a difficult par 3, but could be played as such, particularly for the best in Europe. And Yenni really far up there, off the drive, able to just putt her way to the green. Nicely done. Sanna, actually, with a bit of work from this angle, certainly looks a bit scarier than from the angle behind her, but nice work there. Securing her birdie. A solid bounce back after 12. Certainly, this is the hole where you want to get it. And as we look to be shaping our first star frame here. Birdies all around for our lead card. Everyone improves their score by a stroke. And now we move to hole 14. Directly after the easiest hole of the day, we have statistically the hardest. This par 3 averaging a 4. A very treacherous island green here. You see marked by the white stakes. You need to stick the plateau. Anything that goes short, left, long, or right will be OB. Certainly a very challenging hole, and even getting your drive inbounds will not always guarantee you the birdie. So a lot of work to be done here to find the elusive 2, and a 3 is certainly a good, if not great, score to take on hole 14 relative to the field. Yenni hugs it out a bit wide, but fades just in time and finds herself inbounds, but towards the edge of the island will have a very dangerous putt if she chooses to run it. Rachel, this is a hole that plays really nicely for the forehand. She digs the island just like that. Perfectly done. Great placement, and the forehand with the overstable hyzer is, I think, the shot shape if you have it. The backhand needing to navigate more obstacles as well as the right to left slope towards the end of the flight. That backhand fade to the left will just sort of accentuate the slope, or be accentuated by the slope. So really a great tool to have here, the forehand hyzer. We see Sanna dropping us potentially a local line, but that guardian tree, exactly as I mentioned, coming into play much more for the backhand. As we see her chip up. I believe this hole actually outside the stakes playing as hazard, as we saw Marie play her lie there. Good layup by Yenni. We have Rachel. Just off the left side, continuing to create birdie chances on the green is where they're not connecting. Solid putt there from Sanna. That can be a little bit sweaty, even if it's, or especially when it's for a bogey save. You can very quickly find yourself in trouble with that missed putt. And as I mentioned for Rachel, obviously I think she wanted that 2, but a 3 is a good score here. And you see just why with both Sanna and Marie taking very quick 4s. Yenni now in the lead with 2 strokes. As the seats begin to shift, we go to hole 15. Par 3 at a flat 100 meters. Also one of the more attackable holes here in Mijas. This green once again plateauing to this path. You really want to play something that fades left and then digs into the hill, hopefully settling it. You can try to land right of the basket and putt uphill for a safer putt, but the chance of rollaway is so significant. I think a lot of players will just err on the left side, even if it results in them having a downhill or tricky putt. But if you can match the height of the basket and land on that flat bit, very forgiving hole. Yenni with a beautiful hyzer there. Trusts the width, trusts the distance, even goes a little bit long. This one just ever so slightly downhill from the tee here. And Rachel getting that one flipped up to flat. Had a hyzer angle on the release, but the disc perhaps a touch too understable. Doesn't finish to the left.
Let's do it again.
Marie with a great looking shot here. Also pushing it long. She has just bombed this one to flat and fired well past the basket. I think that was probably about 100 meters flat ground power. These players, I think right now, especially if they get the nose down angle, really needing to throw something closer to about 80, 85. And Sanna in quite an okay spot, although unclear if she'll have a putt from there. Rachel with a great upshot, going to be tapping in her 3. She has a look and just lays that one up, not playing with the edge at all, putting over that bush. Could have found herself in trouble really quickly. Marie as well, throwing that forehand to try and mitigate any chance of going left down the hill. We go to Yenni now. Great look for birdie. And just like that, a great back 9 so far for Jenni Karppinen, her 4th birdie in the last 6 holes. Really turning up the pressure now on the field and continuing to separate from 2nd and 3rd. That was a nasty putt by Marie. Really spinny, really precise, just hits the pole and drops on in. So we see Yenni's birdie find a stroke on all of her lead card competitors. Here we are, hole 16, a par 3 at 75 meters. This one incredibly steep, once again uphill, with OB quite close to the green, considering already the difficulty of this hole. This one requires much more than 75, both power and angle control needing to be very precise in order to find the birdie here. This really is a pick your line sort of situation. You can go full hyzer, you can go hyzer flip, turnover, backhand, forehand. How are you going to hit this target way up there? We see Yenni certainly on a hot streak here in the back 9. Currently in the lead. Look at that, just a very accurate hyzer flip up to flat, pushing line, settles it on the hill, has a birdie putt. Really rare on 16 and very difficult to get. Rachel has shown us she has the power, but turning her back to that one before it even settles, she knows she has found OB to the left. Too much overstability, and you really need to throw so nose up here that it's incredibly hard to not hyzer out. A lot of understability needed to get a proper flight while throwing this nose up. Ideally, you match the grade of the hill. A lot of players will try to throw even just a few degrees higher than the grade of the hill to ensure that they get up there, because if you don't, the outcome is digging into the hill. And we see that from Sanna. Just very demanding tee shot, but some beautiful views as you make your hike up of sunny Spain. Great touch there by Sanna. Marie with the putt. She also crests the final lip. Rachel laying that one up, will be taking a bogey there with the OB. And Yenni, I think, very wise to just simply take that 3, knowing that none of her card mates will be carding the birdie there, knowing that par will do her just fine. And looking like both Marie and Rachel are going to be taking the bogey. Yenni's par will find her another stroke against her 2 closest competitors here as we move towards the end of the second round. 20 holes remaining to this tournament. And Yenni sitting in a really good spot at 1 under par. Here we are on hole 17, a 114 meter par 3 downhill. You see this winding path. A lot of players will throw out into the right side, playing a big hyzer flip, and then trying to crash into the hill here. This one is very much, again, about the distance, being able to accurately control your nose angle going slightly downhill in order to not hyzer out too early or just sky the thing, as well as managing any potential winds. Yenni throwing the disc really well right now. And you see just a solid placement hyzer, nothing too crazy, good use of a stable disc to ensure progress up the fairway. And I like to see that game plan from her. I think Yenni has accumulated enough birdies on this back 9 to be comfortably in the lead now, 4 strokes ahead of Marie in second place. And I'd like to see her decision making on the course reflect that, knowing that she doesn't need to take too many risks and really gauge the risk reward on the circumstance. Rachel definitely going to be attacking the birdie here. And a great drive as she pushes to the hill. I think a long look for her. Marie fading out a touch early into the hillside as we have her approach up first here. Nicely done. Sanna needs to fight up the hill. And a little bit soft from the hand. A little bit of an early release as well. She'll be left with some distance on that putt. We go to Yenni here.
Oh my.
Oh, and she drains it. Just as I'm talking about risk and reward, Jenni Karppinen walks up and drains that putt
Thank you.
from way downtown. What a sick performance on this back 9 by Jenni Karppinen. Wow. She looks almost like she shocked herself there. Incredible stuff, showing why she's your leader here at EPT All-Stars. So we see Marie and Rachel dropping in their threes, knowing that time is running out as Yenni continues to storm ahead with just some incredible plays. What a putt. The final hole here of round 2, hole 18, a 200-meter par 5. Once again, a slightly elevated tee over the valley. You have these big, wide-open drives. This late power tower in the way, guarding the green, where you see the basket tucked up against the hill. A big guardian to the right, small guardians to the left, OB to the road up and beyond. Certainly an attackable final hole as a par 5 for these top players. Very achievable birdie to end their round. See Rachel now. Although not her disc. There it is, appears. Looks to be a solid bomb. Again, a lot of these players going downhill are going to use a touch of stability just to ensure that they don't get that extremely long overturned flight that you can only get throwing downhill. Especially at only 201 meters, this par 5, not requiring a huge amount of distance per throw. Sanna playing a little bit more to the right side, but given the height and the drop-off, is certainly going to swing back to the left into the fairway. We see Marie fall way up the hill to the left. A tight to the hill hyzer line, catches some bushes with a lot of speed. She doesn't quite get the full flight that I think that disc had in it. Yenni playing a good control chip shot. She throws up her arms. Rachel slightly compromised, going to a patent pending turnover backhand, and this is just smushed. Great throw by Rachel. Really powering up from that awkward position and just going for it, knowing that she does not have much to lose. This birdie looks to be in play for all of our competitors. Yenni with precise upshot, just dead on. Cheers from the crowd. They love what they see. Marie opting for more of a pure hyzer. That'll be a putt that she'll need to focus on. That is by no means an easy putt. Rachel had a ton of distance, I believe, this year for eagle. And a great chance. We'll see if I'm correct. I believe she will be tapping in that for a birdie. The distance here that Rachel has really an advantage, and Sanna a bit blocked by that last outwards branch. We go to Marie for birdie. And she finds it. Great finish to her round. May not be going into round 2 as the leader as she did. Rather, not going into round 3 as the leader as she did here in round 2. But certainly a commendable performance. Had a lot of great putts. Marie showing her skill with that standstill on this tough terrain. Really a good tool to have. And Rachel here finding her footing to tap in her birdie. I love to see that she went for the eagle. Really showing her aggression on this final hole. So you see Sanna end her round at 5 over. Yenni collecting another birdie to the crowd's applause. An incredible back nine for Jenni Karppinen, including just a highlight putt. And you see her vault her way clearly into first place at 3 under with a 6 under par round. Incredibly well done and bogey free on the back nine, as you see on her scoreboard there. What an exciting tournament as we close out round 2. Only one more to go before we crown your European Pro Tour All-Star for the 2023 season. Thank you for joining us here today for this round 2 coverage. You can like, comment, and subscribe, or find us on Patreon if you would like to support European disc golf coverage. We appreciate all of you. Thank you, and make sure to join us for round 3.